Good morning, daily huddlers. We're coming off of Halloween, and I got to Kathryn's house last night, and she had a broken jack-o'-lantern. Do you know how you fix it?
Tell me.
Pumpkin patch.
I do not have a broken jack-o'-lantern. That's the only thing about that.
Well, that didn't help my joke. Oh boy.
Pumpkin patch.
Pumpkin patch. And we need a video. There it
is.
My guess would have been duct tape.
Right. Well, that would be a good option. Yeah. So
are we back to the Daily Huddle?
We're back.
We're back. We're here.
Good morning. Today is Wednesday on the Daily Huddle, where we talk about communication and relationships, because we know that more effective communication helps our relationships and helps this relationship right here. We are together today, coming at you from Kathryn's home, and we have a question. We want to talk about the power of being in person after the pandemic. But before we do that, we have some questions for each of you. Good morning, Stan. You just popped on, and I'm coming to you to ask you, where are you and who will you hug today?
Well, Tara, I am right here, right now, the only place that I can be. And I am going to hug my niece today.
Oh, lovely. Oh, she's a lucky young lady. And is that Stacy?
Stacy.
Hey, it's good to see that smile and that spirit.
Hey, it is. I'm sorry, I didn't realize my camera is on. I'm sitting in my bedroom.
No, you look great. You look
good.
perfect. A good background and everything. Tell us this morning, what time is it and what are you grateful for?
The time is now the only time that we have full mastery of. And I am grateful for the opportunity to work on my business today. I am very grateful for that opportunity.
Love it. Love your energy. Let's ask one more question to Miss Lela. Lela, tell us this morning, how are you?
I am great. I am wonderful. And I'm glad to see every one of you doing wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So glad to be in your presence.
Oh, thank you. Lela is wonderful and great because she is the way she says she is. So thank you for sharing that. And right now, I'm going to throw it back to my co-host who is sitting right beside me.
Yes.
Kathryn Sabol.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Wednesday. So here we are in person, and we want to talk about the power of being in person after the pandemic. What has the pandemic taught us about being in person? So last night, I was telling my son, Sam, that Tara was coming over, and he said, wait, what? She's coming here tonight? But we're here. What do you mean? And it just showed me he is not used to having people around a lot, like, well, what do you mean? And are we going to go to bed? Is she going to stay at a hotel? I was like, no. And it's like, wow, okay, that's really interesting. Why? What has happened in their brains, the little people, but then all of us that we don't see people as much. It's not our normal go-to. So we want to talk about what is the power of being in person. And I'm going to ask you, just bottom line, what is the power of being in person for you?
Well, if we kick it off before we dig into our stories, the power of being in person is a deeper, more authentic connection than we will ever get on a phone and a screen. Mm-hmm. And we don't always have those opportunities, but when we do, we really want to peel back how different it can be. Mm-hmm. So I think it'd be fun to really use last night's example.
Yeah. And I do want to say one thing, because last week it was really interesting. We talked about how do you connect with people when you can't connect with them. So how do you connect when you're not able to be in person? And then here we are on the flip side, in person. And then how do you really connect? Mm-hmm. Because how often have we been with people, but not really connecting?
Every day,
right?
All the time, on the phone, on the Zoom, on the email. Getting shit done, right?
Right. And so last night, Tara comes over, we're milling around. I still got kids running around doing stuff, showers, baths.
And I'm going to interrupt. Let me just tell you that I was angry when I got here because she's got 2 little kids, young kids, super active. Her house is spotless. So anyway, back to you.
I'm so glad I can make you angry right when you walk in the door. You're welcome. So it was interesting because we got all this stuff done. And what I love about Tara and I's relationship is I don't have to change a thing. We don't have to navigate around you. In fact, we weren't even here when you got here and you called me from inside. Hey, I'm here. So okay, we'll be there soon. And so the comfort of just doing life, and then you get to see somebody and how you interact around the kids, what I'm doing and what our routine is. You get a really intimate view into someone's life. And then after the kids went to bed, we sat on the couch with a glass of wine and a bar of chocolate. One, there's some left over, the other is gone.
Yep.
And we chatted all night
Right.
until probably way too late.
Absolutely. That's why we have on extra makeup this
That's right.
morning. But let's talk about what happened last night. What's natural, what you would do when you're in person, and we don't even do this when we're on Zoom or on the phone, is first we just talked about our families and what's going on in life.
Mhm.
And I think I mentioned this to you last night, and I'll share it with our audience. You said, how's Mike? Mike's my husband. And even if we would have been on the phone or on a Zoom, I would have said, oh, he's good. We're good. Yeah. But last night we didn't have a schedule. We didn't have to be anywhere. We were sitting crisscross applesauce on your couch, just cuddled up. And I thought, this is my good friend. I'm going to share with her about Mike and what's going on in his life and in our relationship.
Mhm.
And she's like, wow, you've never told me that before. I mean,
Mhm.
it was one of how many beautiful moments last night?
Mhm. Yeah, and I think, wow, it gave me such an insight. And I think the breeding ground for that is the space. It's the space we create when we're together, or that we have the opportunity to create when we're together. It's like, because we always look at that, like what happens between us and go, how did we do that? Or what was important about making that happen? And for us, it was sitting there with no time frame, no agenda, truly authentic, transparent, and you're opening up to share about what's going on with you.
Right.
And from there, it felt like everything blossomed.
You said something really powerful, Kathryn. You said no agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And even when we say, okay, let's meet for lunch, let's have a virtual coffee, we still are looking at our watches. We know we've got things we want to accomplish. And especially for anybody who is in that sales role, or you have your own business, and when you meet with people, you're always click about networking and
Mm-hmm.
What opportunities can I uncover, because that's our job, right?
Mm-hmm.
To uncover opportunities and grow our business, and we have to keep sensitive to it everywhere. But when we spend time together in person with no agenda, I think that's when those relationships really, really become richer.
Mm-hmm.
And then that eventually will grow our business.
Right. Well, that was the fun thing. That was the beautiful thing. We had some business things we wanted to talk about, and we get in there, and usually we'll start planning for the next planning session, or we'll start talking about what is the next thing we need to do. And last night we came to the conclusion that all we need to do is start planning fun time together.
Yes.
Because from that, where everything grows, right?
Absolutely.
From that energy, then you get the energy on the other side. From this go plan mode, you get that energy on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So it was really fun. And it's an invitation to each one of you out there that when you are in the presence of somebody else, what is it that you're bringing to that? What's the energy that you're bringing? How much space is or isn't there? There isn't a right or a wrong way. It's more about being conscious and aware of what is it that I'm creating? What do I want to create? We were clear. We wanted to just have time together, period. Just sit on the couch, chill, and whatever happened would happen.
Right. And something else happened last night that made me realize how important this time is. And, we already had this question planned.
Mm-hmm.
We knew we were going to be together. We thought it'd be cool to really inspect. But something else happened last night. when I first got here, I had to get back. I'd been on a long drive and I had to get in my computer and I was trying to eat my salad and you were getting the boys to bed and it was kind of hectic. And we're like, oh, hey, what's up? Just nothing real connected. At some point, still had my head a little bit tired from traffic, still trying to wrap up emails that I had to take care of. And at some point, you said to me that your mom was here and she's sorry she missed me.
Mhm.
And that kind of just went over my head. Like I didn't even really realize who you were talking about.
Mhm.
Then we sat down on the couch. Boys were in bed. My computer was put away. My phone finally got put on silent. Sorry. And I realized that my brain wasn't ready. My
Mm.
brain just wasn't ready to totally be present and just invest in our friendship and our relationship.
Mhm.
And that made me think that's what we do during the workday. I'm not saying don't go have lunch with people. Don't have a quick virtual coffee. Those are great. But to have this just unencumbered time together,
Mhm. Mhm.
I totally went back and wanted to hear about the visit with your mom. And the first time you mentioned it, I was like, wait, what, who? And I just kept on with my salad and my email.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about knowing where you are and what you're ready for, right? You know, and you even asked, do you need some time alone to kind of get yourself settled? And it's like priming the space for that time together. It just keeps coming back to the same thing for me, which is being intentional about our time.
Mhm.
And really, that doesn't matter if it's on Zoom or in a coffee or on a telephone call or with a grocery store clerk. It's what's the energy that I'm bringing? What's my intention for either this time or this day? Because we are creating every moment.
Yes.
And is it
Absolutely.
what we're wanting to create?
Yes. Is it exactly? And I think there's a lot of things that I could have done with my evening. I could have stayed in a hotel last night, certainly, and been more productive. I could have done more emails, more writing, more organizing. And so I'm wondering, and I have something else I think will be cool to share. But before I do that, and then we dig into questions, I'm imagining myself listening to this conversation, and I might be thinking a little bit like rolling my eyes, like, well, that's all well and good that you had your little slumber party, but we don't all have that luxury.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so here's what I think maybe we ought to take from this is let's think about our work brain and our leisure brain.
Mhm.
And this really is a good transition into something that I discovered that I think would be cool to share is maybe we're not going to go and stay at someone's house, but putting work away at the end of the day, what are we going to do with those evening hours?
Mm.
And there was a gentleman by the name of John Fitch, and he wrote a book about taking time off. And he suggests doing something called noble leisure. He says that when we just either exercise or sleep or sit in front of the television, it's not nearly as good for us as it is to find what he calls noble leisure.
Mm.
And last night we found noble leisure because we were we weren't wanting to turn on the television or look at emails or look at social media. We were fully in that flow state, fully engaged with each other.
Mhm.
And that fortifies us.
Mhm.
And that's
Fascinating.
different than just resting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Again, it's intentionality. What is it that fills me up? And how do we do that? I love that.
Yeah.
I love
I
that.
just I don't want us to continue to delay spending our leisure hours doing something that's not really important.
Yeah.
And last night was important.
Mhm.
And getting together with our loved ones when our brain is powered down from work,
Mhm.
or our friends or people at work that we want to get to know better. That's where I think we have a big opportunity.
Mhm. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So I made a few notes about this though, because I wanted to get it right. And so here are the 4 stages that John Fitch talks about that helps us to really enrich relationships and take better advantage of our time away from this screen, which is what the pandemic has done to us. And the 4 stages are this: preparation.
Mhm.
So let's just use last night as an example. We prepared, we planned to be together. We decided, let's just not worry about getting work done and planning our next workshop. Let's just enjoy.
Mhm.
And we did that. Then there's incubation.
Mhm.
And that's the time leading up to it where you just start to think about things. Our brain cannot go into that incubation stage
Mhm.
when we're multitasking and doing a lot of work. We need to have quiet time where we're doing something very simple. like loading the dishwasher, taking a shower. That's when the brain has incubation. Then that's where the beautiful ideas come in. That's when we sat down. First, we talked family, then we had some laughs, then we started talking about work. It just naturally, organically, that's the illumination stage. That's when we like, oh yeah, we started thinking, what about this? What about that? Yes, we got to do this. We got to do that. We never planned any of it. We came away with some awesome ideas last night. And then the final stage, we haven't gotten there yet. That's verification. That's when we're going to sit down and put what came out of last night, other than really, really elevating our friendship, we're going to put it to paper. And that's going to mean something to us.
I love that. It's like a formula for as he calls noble leisure, but it also feels like a formula for flow.
Oh, 100%. That's a big part of the book, is that's flow state. And to remind us what flow state is, it's when our brain is highly challenged and highly skilled. And when we are in a state where we are highly challenged and highly skilled, we're completely in the moment. That's flow state. But if we're not challenged, if I was just sitting back and just not really trying to answer questions or really be engaged, then I'd be bored and I would want to be playing with my phone. That's on me if I find myself bored. Or if I didn't feel comfortable with you and confident, then I wouldn't feel skilled in that setting. Then I would feel stress. But when we have both, when I felt comfortable and I felt intrigued and I felt excited to be with you, that's flow state. That's noble leisure.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I want to open this up to questions. I want to hear what comes up for people as we describe this. And yeah, what's out there? There's Sorrel.
This is really good stuff. So my brain's going crazy, right? So, Tara, as the brain expert, tell me this. A lot of the things you're talking about, I'm thinking, well, we could do that virtually, except for one thing. I can't be close to you physically, virtually. And there's this thing about touch and proximity and looking at someone's eyes that I'm thinking to myself, promotes everything you're talking about and makes it easier. Can you talk a little more about the difference between proximity and the ability to touch someone when you're in person and the absence of that when you're virtual?
Well, I don't know, quite honestly, I don't know that I have the brain science around touch, but I can share something personal that really speaks to what you're talking about. Is some people are not very touchy. I was raised by someone very affectionate, and I am a toucher. I'm a hugger and a kisser. And then when COVID hit, that all of a sudden became like people wouldn't even shake your hand. It was a fist bump or an elbow bump. And then I became, for me personally, even when I would go out in person, I'm starting to let that go, but I became very stressed about being in person. And I know this isn't what you asked, but I'm getting there. Very stressed about being in person because I didn't think people wanted to be hugged. And then you had to ask for permission. And that caused, the safe place to be back behind the screen. But we are made to be touched. And I do know from my mother's illness and talking to her doctors, and she's gone now, but the doctors spoke to the very important need of the human for us to be touched by others. And so we certainly can't do that on the screen. But quite honestly, Sorrel, I think it's more than that. It's more than just the touch. Somebody said to me once, and I not to toot my own horn, but somebody said to me once, it was a leader for one of my clients, and he said, you bring a special brightness and energy to all of our meetings, and all of those meetings are virtual. So we can connect on the screen. I don't want to say that we can't, but we still are on a schedule. The screen meetings, you're not sitting back having a cocktail or a nice warm cup of cocoa at night with somebody on a screen. I think it's more that we need the downtime to have no agenda and no schedule. And that means taking your brain out of that cortisol, adrenaline work mode.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I just think about babies, Sorrel, that the babies will die if they are not touched.
That's right. That's right.
That is so clear to me. It is, we need human touch, period. Thank you for the question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is that CC?
Oh, good morning, everyone.
Hey.
I love this topic because the pandemic did divide people where, you know, we couldn't be in other people's space because of this issue. And what you're saying is true. The human touch is something that no other person, no other thing on earth that's not human can be replaced.
Mhm.
Just like our family, we weren't together and we lost a family member and her heart was broken. And so when I realized how important we are as people to be present for another person in person, not through text, not through a Zoom call. And I'm not saying that is not one way of communicating, but being present with that person, you get to learn about that person with words. And I learned about my mother in her silence, because she wasn't able to talk or eat or drink anymore, but she spoke a lot. And so her presence was speaking, and I told her how much I appreciate her. But even so, being present with a person does make a difference. And thanks so much for the topic this morning.
Thank you, CC. Thank you. So true. Gio, you have your hand raised.
Yes, yeah, thank you. This is really great. One of the aspects that the conversation was triggering me was that there was a book that I use there are many books I use about the brain, but this one in particular, maybe you guys have read it. It's called The Upward Spiral by Alex Korb. It's the name of the book is Upward Spiral, and it's about neuroscience, practical way of reversing depression. And he speaks, and now I don't know the science of it, right? But he talks about that there is little to no trigger of oxytocin without touch. And so he says, he says, highly recommends, allowing oneself to do high fives if the space is something that a person deals with. Mm-hmm. Also highly recommends going on massages. It's like, go to get a massage. Highly recommends it, right? And he says, texting someone I love you doesn't trigger this emotion of love as calling them and saying I love you. It's completely different things. And so I started practicing in my life, forcing myself to, at the time, to hug. It was a force. I would force myself. I'm gonna hug my significant other. I'm gonna hug my children. And I would say it, oxytocin time. So I would trigger myself around it. And it shifted the paradigm for my relationship with myself and others. Anyway, I wanted to share that as well.
I love that. I love that you call it oxytocin time, because it triggers why you're doing it. So when that kind of dies off your initial inclination, that's brilliant.
I read something similar to that as well. And I don't know where I read this, but I told my husband one time that if we don't kiss for at least 6 seconds, it doesn't give you time to really elevate your oxytocin. And so now we have this like 6-second thing, even if it's like kissing goodbye or kissing hello, it has to be at least 6 seconds.
Oh my gosh. There you go.
Yes, and I got that from you, Kathryn. I mean, Tara. So now in my life, I hug for 6 seconds.
Awesome. I love it. I wish I could hug you all right now. This is like making me want to run off the screen and let's go have a party.
Let's do it. Rashida. Yes.
Good morning, guys. Good morning. Thank you so much. I'm sitting here at the mechanic. I was driving when you started the daily huddle, but I'm sitting here in the mechanic office and I've been like, oh my goodness, guys. It's just so touching to know that the topic is so broad I did not get a lot of, I would say, kickback with the pandemic because I live in the mountain, I live in the country, I live far away from human beings. But it's fun because when my grandkids used to come and visit, I would come drive down into New York, pick them up, and they would stay 4 days, 3 days with me. And they would say to them, my granddaughter, at the time she was 7, she says, I need a hug, Nana. I need a hug. I said, sure. So she looked back at her mom and said, Mom, it's possible that I can hug my Nana. He said, she's your Nana. Go right ahead. So she hugged me and she said, Nana, you think I can sleep with you? I said, sure. So I did not get a lot of effect with the pandemic, but I know of people that really, I work at a nursing home and I also do Eucharistic visitors. So when you go to the nursing home in the midst of the pandemic, it was so hard to be able to reach out to these people that have no relatives that will visit them, and you come and visit and you have to be far, can get a hug. And at the time before the pandemic, we used to get hugs and we used to do walks, and I know it affects a lot of people. And I am saying the topic this morning really, really was so important for those people who want to communicate by text. Oh my goodness, please just reach out and touch. That's what my recommendation is. But thank you so much, Tara and Kathy, for the topic. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's so fitting. I think it's right. It's like when we have the opportunity, somebody else wants some touch. When we have the opportunity to touch, go on. Oh my goodness. Anyway, when we have the opportunity to touch, let's take it.
I have a cat allergy. I don't hate cats. I don't love cats, but
that cat loves to be.
I don't touch cats.
When we have the opportunity, take it, whatever your comfort level is, but take the time to spend it with the people that you love. And even in that time, be intentional about the presence you bring, the time you spend, read that book at night with that little person and be with them, or sit with someone at dinner and really be with them,
Right. Not the television, not the distractions. And you know what, Kathryn, I have to say this. Pick the right person.
Oh, that's part of the magic
that
formula.
Fills you up, because there are people that need you and they drain you, and that's just part of life. But make sure you find time to spend with that person that fills you up, leaves you full of oxytocin and ready to face the day, feeling a little bit brighter.
I love it. Yes to that. As you can tell, that's us. We are going to close out with our 7 tenets.
Yeah, let's do it together.
All right, let's do it.
All right, love
the one
you're
the one you're with. Stress less. Gosh, when you love, you do stress less. We didn't stress at all last night. That was no time.
Nope.
We laughed a lot.
Yep. And we gave of our heart and our time and our wine and our chocolate.
We did. We didn't move a whole lot, but we will. So move.
We're good about that.
Yeah.
And did we do laugh out loud?
Oh, eat more plants.
Oh,
you did that. You brought your salad.
I ate plants. Yep.
Yep. So. And I did before you came. So eat the plants. It's all the recipe for.
And what was the last thing we did as our last tenet? We slept.
We did.
Not together. Even though we are in a closet.
We are in a closet. We're coming out of the closet right after this.
That's it. All right.
All right, everybody. Thank you.
Go and connect with the world.
Yeah. Enjoy your day. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care, Kathy. Take care, Kathryn. Take care.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right, ladies.